at least mom will be listening.
So if you bring up Counter Stallions, we're just not going to listen to you.
Number one is number one.
1,000 miles away from me. Hello and welcome to the Faith Sports Leadership Podcast, where we talk about three things: faith, sports, and leadership. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Lutz, joined as always by my co-host and brother, Drew Lutz. Drew, how you doing today?
Doing good. Excited to introduce our guest today. One of my former teammates at Incarnate Word, played at Pebblebrook High School in Georgia. Heard lots of great stories about that. And then after Incarnate Word, he played at Ryder. And now he's had quite the pro journey as well, playing overseas, and recently signed with the Atlanta Hawks G League team. DJ, how you doing, man?
Doing great. I'm glad I'm on here. Just appreciated to be out here with both of y'all, and just excited about what we'll be talking about today.
Awesome. Well, Dwight Murray Jr., he is electric on the basketball court, but he's even more of an infectious human being with his personality. So I'm excited to have you on, man. The way this podcast works is we talk about three things: faith, sports, and leadership. In this first section, we're going to talk about faith, and we actually have a couple of verses that we're going to read through and just discuss, the three of us, as we go. And it comes from the book of Proverbs. It's Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. That's Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. I'm going to read it one more time, and then Drew will start with you some thoughts. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Drew, what are some of your initial thoughts there?
This verse, I haven't always lived this one out and always followed it, but when I have, it's helped me tremendously. I think it's so easy to, as a Christian and just living in this world, to do what the world says, but we actually have to turn and follow what Jesus says and trust with all of our heart, even when it doesn't make sense, because he'll show us the desires of our heart and lead us in the path and which we're supposed to take. And I'm super excited to hear DJ's thoughts, because I feel like he's really lived this one out from where he started to where he is now. So DJ, what do you have to say about this verse?
Actually, this is one of the verses that that touched me when I was in Montenegro and got real close to Jesus Christ. I just want to say, I felt like this verse was coming out because the man I was in college and high school, we was just doing the earthly form things and little things like that, where and we're still not perfect to this day. We still sometimes get caught up in our emotions and our things. So I feel like in that passage, it says telling us we have to just stop leaning onto ourselves or what we think that we should do. I felt like that hit me a lot during that time, and because it's times where I was in my own thoughts and trying to figure out things on myself and not even realizing it, and just allowing God to, handle everything, allowing Jesus to handle everything, whatever it is, just let him handle, just more of just having faith. And when when I was reading that passage, I was like, okay, God, I surrender to you. I'm gonna just literally give you everything. And if I mess up, please correct me, just because sometimes we don't know when we're even doing it, and most of the time. And, that's why he's saying it. So this passage was very good. I love that passage when I first read it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm excited to hear more of your kind of journey, because I honestly, friends, if you're listening, I don't know Dwight's journey of where he got to. I knew he was a great basketball player, so I'm excited to hear a little more as we go on, continue on with this podcast. I also didn't know this verse played a key role while you were discovering your faith journey. So that's kind of cool. As we plan through the podcast, the Holy Spirit's clearly moving. I think for me, this verse, it's relevant in a lot of circumstances. Circumstance I'm in right now, for the past little over 2 or 3 months, I've had the privilege of being stepping into a senior pastor role at a church, a historic church in our community, and all this stuff. And it can be overwhelming, and it can be so often for me, I can find myself sitting in my office or driving into work or doing this, that, or the other thing, laying in bed at night, just thinking, what do I need to do? What strategy do I need to do to reach more people, to help grow this church, to help grow disciples, all this stuff. And it's freeing for me to know, to not lean on my own understanding. lean in on God and His guidance, and His will is going to be done on earth as it is in heaven. So how can we best do that? Not necessarily by strategy or making it up in my head, but it's His will and His leaning and His understanding. So yeah, anything else to add before we move on to the next section, guys? Perfect. So now we're going to dive into the sports section because obviously sports are a fun thing. Drew, I'd like you to take the lead here as we head into the sports section.
Yeah, so we're gonna start off talking about Georgia high school basketball. I've heard some stories from DJ and how those games were intense. Those were battles. You were teammates with Colin Sexton, just a dog on the court. But what's some of your favorite memories from your time at Pebblebrook?
There's so many. Probably I could say my first year playing at Proverbs, I wasn't on varsity at all. And I was on the JV team, and my coach was my math teacher. And I think he had went to one of my games. I had like 15 points. I was killing out there. And my coach had told me like the next day, I was leaving his class, and he was like, "No, you have to stay. I got to tell you something." He told me I was on varsity. He was like, "You're playing tonight," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I'm a freshman. They had my Pillsbury, my 4 years. We was top 25 in the country. So uh, at that time, it was probably like top 15, and I wasn't playing unless they was getting like beating somebody by 30. And that day they was beating somebody by 30, and I got in the game. As soon as I got in the game, I hit a three. That was probably my freshman year, and then we made it all the way to the state championship. Played against Jalen Brown, and Jalen Brown beat us. And they called a foul, and he hit two free throws to beat us. And
Mm.
it was like zero point 0.3 seconds left, and we didn't have time to shoot the ball. And that's how he won. And it's just crazy because like I didn't play so many like people that's in the league, and I played with a lot of people. As Jared Harper was on my team sophomore year, which is playing in Israel right now, and he played with the Knicks at some time that time like 2 years ago, and that team was unstoppable. We made it. We was like top 10 in the state championship, and that was my first year starting. Colin first came there, and he's just a dog. It's just so I remember telling Drew and them like the way that he thinks about the game is so crazy. Like he says like the ball is his baby. He'll talk to the ball sometimes. He would shoot free throws, and we used to like when he used to tap with nobody right there, he'll clap the like just he it wouldn't be right nobody in the foul line or whatever, and he like if he was on our team or whatever, and he would just put his hand out at like somebody clapping his hand. We used to ask him, he was like, "Bro, why do you do that?" He was like, "Because I see 7 times." And I'm like, "Bro, what?" He was just like, it's just crazy how he thinks, but I understand like sometimes he'll talk to himself, and now it kind of groomed me to the person I am, because it's just like you got to have a love to the game. You have to love the game as much as you work. He works hard. He's in the gym 24/7, like three
Wow.
times out the day. Like he was in the gym no matter what it is, and I really seen him sprout out like my sophomore year to junior year, and he was a senior at the time. And so we made it all the way to the state championship and lost against Chuma Okiki, who's playing with the Knicks right now, and they hold the ball for 3 minutes, and then that's the time we didn't have shot clock, so they hold the ball for 3 minutes in overtime, and they beat us. So I didn't get no rings at all because the next 2 years we didn't make it to the state championship at all. So, but we were still top 25, and then played with Colin my junior year, and it was a kind of like a lot of ups and downs. I felt like at the time Colin was like just worried about himself. He had a lot of shine on him, so it was like all American. He was trying to get there, trying to get to the Jordan Brand Classic, which I don't blame him at all. But I feel like that year we should have won. We had a lot of players on our team. We had Jared Jones, which is playing with San Diego State right now. Elias Harder went to Xavier at the time. Um, Me, I was coming off the bench, and it was at a time when Colin had got a concussion, and he told them like, uh, I wasn't playing as much my junior year because he had brought a lot of top players on our team, and we played the team called Campbell, Colin got a concussion, and I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm like, who he gonna put in? Like, who my coach gonna put in? And Colin like, DJ, get in. Dwight, get in, get in. And I'm like, okay, bet. So I get up, listen to Colin. And our coach was like, no, sit back down. And Colin's like, get in the game. And I was like, oh, all right. Got back up, came in there in the second half. I scored 18 points, brought us back, and won the game. And then our coach was like, Colin's like, I told you to put DJ in. I told you to put DJ in. But me and Colin still cool to this day. But it was just a blessing to have him as a teammate. Like, he used to always push me. I had to guard Colin all the time. That's why I say that my defense is kind of good, because I played one of the best players in the world. So it's just I was assigned in his life to, groom each other, like to push each other at the same time. And I didn't know that at the time, so it prepared me to who I am right now on the court. So, it was over. It's a lot of memories that I can say, but I had fun though. It was a great time there.
That's awesome, man. And then you're at Carnet Word playing for Dr. Carson Cunningham.
Yes, sir.
Man, I tell you what, showing up practice, getting picked up 94 feet by DJ is not fun, people. But we had a lot of hard practices. It was a good time. Tell me just what the experience of San Antonio was like for you and how you ended up there.
Well, I ended up there. So my senior year, I averaged like 22 points. I was like I said, I was playing with Colin, and Colin was bringing in a whole lot of college coaches. And I tell you, like, it was packed, like, every day. And so we was playing one on one all the time, and I was getting looks around junior year against like Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, um, just a lot of big time schools. But they always said I wasn't a point guard at the time, because all I did was stay in the corner and shoot, because I had other guys on my team.
Mm.
So my senior year is my first time playing point guard. Like, my coach was allowing me to play point guard. It was a new start. I had to learn how to control the floor a little bit more, because all I knew was to shoot. I'm a combo guard, so all I knew was to score. I mean, that's how we gonna win the game, most of the time. So um, my first couple offers was Southern Utah, Northern Arizona, and Jacksonville State, and I got those in the beginning of the season. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it might keep on going, so I'm gonna just wait on, I wait on it. It was like almost every other month, either the coach got fired, or or they found somebody else. And I was just like, okay, I don't have nothing. So after I graduated, I didn't have any schools or nothing. Like, I was just telling myself that I was going JUCO. And my mom used to tell me all the time, my dad would be like, pray about it. Ask God to, see like what you need to do. And I used to pray. There's times where I was crying, like, I was like, dang, like, I wish I would have was able to go D1, and I was just gonna settle and just go JUCO. And then one of the coaches had called me with my AAU coach and told me to do unsigned senior. And I don't know, I don't know if Drew was there at the time, but Coach Archie, I think you met him, right?
I
Yeah,
met him.
Coach. Yeah, so Coach Archie was recruiting me at South Alabama. So they got fired, and then he went to UIW. Came and seen me play at in Missouri in an unsigned senior showcase. And he saw me. He was like, "Oh man, Coach Carson, we just got a new team here. We're trying to start a new team and start it up." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I'm like, I'm gonna be able to play my freshman year. All right, bet. So got there, met Coach Carson. Um, I love San Antonio as soon as I got there. San Antonio was it's beautiful. Went to the Riverwalk. It's nice over there. It's never cold. I was like, okay, yeah, I can live here for sure. And then UIW campus is just amazing. I love it, UIW campus. So, got there, and it really taught me a lot my freshman year, just of um knowing how to play college ball. Like, the speed is way different. The people are stronger at the time. It was just a lot of things that I had to understand, and me saying at the time, where I can say now that I wasn't ready to be a point guard as I thought I was in my head at the time. I was literally a two guard. So I had to, like, groom myself, and I didn't have really like veterans on that team my freshman year because everybody had left. So it wasn't no senior guard who can teach me or anything like that. It was just me and Morgan, and Dez was on the team at the time, so we're all new to D1 basketball at the time. So um, that's how I got to UIW. But the experience there was great. I met a lot of my friends my freshman year, and then Drew comes sophomore year, and Drew was with me all the time, man. So Drew was my dog. We stayed together. I remember taking him to his dorm a couple times. We used to be in the gym all the time. He'd be in there locked in, shooting on a gun. We'd be playing one on ones all the time. And honestly, Drew taught me a lot as well. Like Drew came in knowing the game, like, and I was watching him as he was a freshman, just knowing how his pace was coming off the screen, like he can score, and it was just like, okay, Drew's nice, like Drew is tough, and so uh, I definitely used to like watch him, and me and Sway used to say it all the time, like we'd be watching Drew just how he comes off and just the pace, and I used to try to put it in my game because I didn't have that at the time. So, but I always, Drew always pushed me and I always pushed him. And then it was like that year was so hard for me as well because, I felt like I felt like I needed a bigger role at the time because, my freshman year I'd been there, I was averaging at least 6 points my freshman year with a little bit of minutes. And then my sophomore year, I just felt like I needed to be on the court. It didn't matter if I was starting or being a sixth man. And, but it really taught me how to become a teammate without being on the field on the floor.
Mm.
And but my sophomore year really helped me a lot. I had to learn how to play off 2 feet, always coming off playing off one. But yeah, UIW was a journey, not gonna lie.
No, man,
UIW was definitely a journey.
it was a. I mean, some of my favorite lineups were when it was almost we had 3 point guards, you, Dez, and me. Whenever us two were on the court, I just love that. But yeah, you said you didn't have veteran leaders to kind of show you. I was thankful that I had you and Desmond Ballantyne to kind of show me what it was like and what hard work looked like at that level. And so super thankful that I had you there, man. But then
Yeah.
you go on and go to Ryder and you just man, I feel like you just took a whole nother level. How did that happen for you, man?
During that time it was COVID. Everybody had to leave UIW. So put my name in the transfer portal, and it's so crazy. So when I was in UIW, I think it was our second to last game. We was playing Houston Baptist, I think, at home. Uh, and I'm on the court, and literally, bro, like I haven't touched the ball or whatever, and coach is literally yelling at me. And it felt like the court literally paused, and I just hear a voice in my head was like, "You see this? It's time for you to go." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because I was already thinking about like I was always told myself wherever school I go to, I was gonna stay 4 years, and I love San Antonio. The campus is good, but when I heard that, I knew it felt like it was a sign for me to leave. And the next day, I put my name in the transfer portal. I was nervous though. I can't lie to you because COVID had came, and I was nervous. I was only averaging like 9.8 points a game, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna get a school, go JUCO, but as soon as I put my name in the transfer portal, I went home. All I was getting was JUCOs at the time and D2 schools. And the first offer was, well, the first person that called me was Oregon State, and Musselman from Arkansas sent me a text message and an email, and he was like, "We want you, but you're gonna have to be a walk on."
Mm.
And the only reason those two teams was like waiting on it was because they at the time, COVID, they didn't know who was leaving or not, so they couldn't do the transfer portal or anything like that at the time. So they didn't know if basketball was going to even come back or not. So he was like, "We gotta wait because some of the guards might not. They're saying that they're not going to leave until COVID is over." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then Denver University texted me, and then Ryan texted me. Um, Wanted to go to Denver University so bad. Like, that was on me heavy. So bad. Talked to the assistant coach knew me from sophomore year when we had played at Ryder. We had played at the in Washington, I think it is Seattle, Washington, and he was at St. Joe's, and he had went to Ryder. That was his second year at Ryder, and he had called me and was like, "I seen your film. I told the coach about you, which is Kevin Baggett at Ryder University." Um, he was like, "I told the coach about you, and he said he's gonna call you. He like you." So I get on the phone with him. I'm like, "Okay." He was like, the coach was like, "Hey man, I'm offering you right now. I don't care what it is. I like your game." Da 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 da. He was like, "What's up with your 3-pointer though, man? You was shooting at 28%." And I was like, "Coach, I had to look over my head a couple times. So I mean, I was like, if you allow me to just like play my game, I promise you it's gonna go in." And he was like, "Okay, I believe you." And so um, I definitely I definitely was iffy about it because, at the time we had to do waivers because, now they can transfer, and if you don't transfer back and forth, you can play right away.
Mhm.
And at the time I had to do a waiver, and my coach there was telling me that he was gonna do the waiver for me, and it never happened. Like never happened until one of the players that he wanted to, like, I think start, he had tore his ACL. And he had called me and was like, "We gotta start the waiver." And I'm like, "You haven't started the waiver yet?" And so it was like confusing. I'm like, I told my dad, I'm like, "I don't want to go there. I don't think they really want me." You feel me? My dad was like, "No, you're going there. You're going there. I don't care what you say. You're going there." So first day on there, I was locked in. I was so locked in. Like I wasn't. I feel like that's when everything kind of changed. The way I moved, I really got connected with God at that time in a different level than what I was. I was reading most of the time when I can, so I wasn't going out as much. I stayed in the gym. I was just so locked in. I was in the gym 24/7. And the first game we played with Syracuse, um, played Syracuse, and I had 20 points, I think 8 rebounds, and like 5 assists or something like that. And my coach is in there because they really don't know how I play because, UIW, they really didn't allow me to play like my whole game. So my coach come in there, we get killed too by like 30. And my coach come in there in the locker room, he's just like, "DJ's the only player that's ready right now." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, "Oh, I ain't never had this before." Like, okay, cool. I'm liking it here. So then my second game, we play St. John's, and I have 19 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds, and we lost by 3. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm feeling it." First conference game, I have 20 points, 15 rebounds, uh, I think 7 assists, and that's when my name started to get like respect at in the MAC, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" Like I'm just thanking God the whole time because I'm just like, this is all I really wanted, and going on to my junior year, my senior year, like I just kept on getting better. And we used to play Rick Pitino all the time. And my first time playing Rick Pitino, that was probably my hardest game ever. Like, just like the scout that he was doing on me, like he had a bigger guy on me. I used to be just playing like people was guarding me like my size or a little shorter. But the way he was doing it, because he knew I was a combo guard, he had like a 6'5", 6'6" player on me who could play real defense, and that was something different. And my following year, like my junior year, I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how I can get open on a bigger defender. That year right there, that was probably my like the best year I can say. We almost made it to the NCAA tournament. I think y'all text me that day, or Drew texted me that day when I hit the buzzer beater against Iona, and
Yep.
uh, we lost to Mama in the Final Four. And then my senior year, I was literally going to. I was thinking about leaving, but we had a great team. We had the same exact team. Put my name in the draft to just like see the waters or whatever, to just like see what's going on, if they like me, or just get feedback at the time.
Mhm.
And I was getting offers from like Wake Forest, SMU, because they think I'm leaving, but I was telling them like, "No, I'm just staying. I'm staying." Because I had the green light. That's my team. But like, I would have loved to go there though, just to see a different, level or whatever. But that year, We lost the first round against St. Peter's, but we had fun there. Met a good group of guys. We still friends to this day. It was just a great journey. Just blessed that I was able to show people, and the people that kind of doubted me, that I have another level into me. But I had to start working on a lot of different things and start watching film more and little things like that. So yeah.
Drew, I'll hop on real quick before your next question. I'll just say, man, I turned on. It must have been your junior after your first year after leaving Incarnate Word. There was a Rider game on like the CBS Sports Network or something like that. It was a MAC act, like MAAC. And man, if you haven't seen MAC basketball, it is high level, competitive. Like it made me think of like the stories you hear of like Rucker Park, like in New York City. Like it's scrappy. They're going after you. And that game in particular, I just remember the announcers were going berserk with you rebounding the ball. Like, this guy's Dwight Murray Jr. is flying out of nowhere, rebound, and it was a back and forth battle. I think you guys ended up winning by like 5 or 6 or something like that. But you were. It was early on when you were coming onto the scene, and they were so impressed. And I just remember, I think I texted or called Drew after that. I was like, "This is the guy that was on your team last year, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, Drew told me he's a dog." And so, man, kudos to you. It was fun to watch you. It was fun to watch you at Incarnate Word. You, Drew, Dez, Sway, like those, like you guys were a fun group of guys. But it was really fun to see you where you went from there, and just really blossom into who you are. So yeah, it's cool to hear the story.
Thank you.
And now you're playing professional ball, man. What's been like the coolest thing or something you've learned from your professional journey so far?
Um, Coolest thing is, more than anything, like, so when I went to Montenegro, Montenegro is beautiful. I loved it out there. Some things was, as life happens, some things happens. But I went through it. But more than anything that I say that I found out was getting closer with God. That's when I really got closer with Him. It's times where I was literally sitting in my room. I was by myself. I didn't have a lot of people to talk to because I was 6 hours ahead. So I would literally like play the game and then read the Bible. And it was to the point where I used to sit there and just pray and just, I used to have to go through a lot of things where um, my coach used to just like go off. And I used to be like, "Bro, I just don't understand what's going on. Why are you just messing with me?" And I used to just ask God, like, "How do I handle this?" And that's he sent me like the verse. I think it was like slow to speak. No, I think it was like quick to listen, slow to anger, or something like that. And I was like, okay. And he was like, most of the time, like he was talking to me in my head, like basically, because I was sitting in the presence with him, and he was just telling me like, call on my name when you go through stuff like this. Like, just say thank you, God, thank you, God. And I used to do it all the time, and my coach would go like he would go off on me, and I was like, thank you, and it would literally go away, and I was just like, okay. And he was literally talking to me every time, and his presence was there, and I could just feel it, and it was just an unconditional love. Like, I was just like, okay, so let me get deeper in it. Let me get deeper in it. So I kept getting deeper in it, kept getting deeper in it. It was to the point where like my spirit wasn't happy where I was, as of like playing wise. And God literally sat me down and literally was telling me like, you're doing you're doing this for so many other reasons, and you're not doing it for me. So you need to change. Like, I'm giving you this platform, but you need to change your ways. So I was just like sitting there, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And I started realizing like it was times where I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit playing basketball. I was thinking about coaching at a time when I was in overseas, and you know, I was looking for that peace that whole time, and the whole time God was giving me that peace. God is the peacemaker, and I would sit down, and I was thinking about leaving. I didn't know if I was just me talking or if I needed. So I used to fast. I fasted, bro. I fasted so many times. And I've seen visions, and a lot of things like that. He was talking to me so clear because like I was pleasing myself. And he was just literally just telling me like, go after your dreams, but this time do it for me. And what he was saying is that like at that time and when I wanted to go to the league, when I wanted to be a pro, I was doing it for the jewelry, the girls, the earthly form things. You know what I'm saying? Like little things that we see on TV, on social media, and we want those. And when I changed my mindset, everything was just so peaceful. Like my coach wasn't like he would still say something, but it wasn't. Sir, okay, I got you.
Mhm.
Come out quick and quicker. Like, I only played like 11 minutes because in the beginning I was playing like 20 or something. And then it got towards the end, I played like 11 minutes, and when he take me out, and I know I should have been in the game because I just brought him back. I just be like, okay, yes, sir. And then I started clapping for my other teammates. It was just a shift in me that I seen. It was to the point where I couldn't stop. I wanted to always get that presence of God. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I wanna understand who he is and what he wants from me. And it was around I just got off the phone with Sway and I was heading to practice and it was probably like 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm getting dressed, going to practice, I'm walking, and he tells me not to go to practice. And I'm like, okay. So he was like, I need to talk to you. So I'm sitting there for like, it could have been like 45 minutes. I'm laying on the couch just waiting on him to say something. I was just like, okay, what you need to talk to me about? And he just basically says, go after your dream, um, leave. He tells me to leave, no matter what it is, get packed, leave. And our first instinct, like I'm hearing it, my first instinct was like, okay, let me ask my parents. Like, let me ask my brother, should I leave? So I asked my mom, and they like, no, just stay, da da da. And I'm like, okay. And then I hear it again, he's like, leave. And I tell my mom, I said, book my flight right now. I had like 6 more games left. And I said, book my flight right now. God wants me to go after my dreams.
Wow.
And so I booked my flight, didn't tell my coaches or anything. And it's so crazy while I was driving there, because they wasn't paying our money. They wasn't giving us all our money at the time. So they was like giving like half our money. And my team was thinking I was leaving for the money. But when I got closer to God, I just started realizing like the money's not nothing. Like I was so worried about the money so much, it's to the point where I was telling them like, bro, I'm not worried about it. I really just want to go and play for him. And
Yeah.
they was testing me, he was like, bro, you gotta get the money back. You're getting the money back, bro. Like, come back, come back. And I'm like, nah, God, I got something better for me. I said, I pray that y'all get y'all money back and y'all get everything y'all need, but I have to do this assignment that God wants me to do.
Yeah.
So I come back, touchdown in US. As soon as I touch down, I get nervous. I'm like, did I make the wrong decision? Like, was that him? And probably like 2 weeks in, I didn't go to the gym at all. Didn't go to the gym. And my mom was just sitting there because they all know I stay in the gym. And I was just like, I can't move. I couldn't eat because I was just like, dang, did I make the wrong decision? And first day I go to the gym, um, I meet a trainer that said that he would train me for free. And I felt like he was just there to just get me started. And when we started working out, I started getting in the gym and I hit up my trainer, which is TSF. His name is Rob, and I hit him up and I said, Rob, I'm ready to do whatever you want me to work me as hard as you can. I'm trying to get to the league. I'm trying to make it to the NBA. And when I tell you he did that, and I was in the gym almost every day, like working hard. I'm doing sprints, 3 minute runs, shooting. Uh, I got better. I was in the gym for 6 months, waiting, just sitting there waiting. And it's times where like, and I feel like at the time where I had to realize too was once you give yourself to Christ and you asking God like you want to be a disciple in this life or anything like that, like as Jesus says in the Bible, it's like once you give yourself to Christ, it's gonna be times where it's hardship. It's gonna be times when people are, people gonna leave out your life. People is going to talk bad about you. You're gonna go through things because the devil found ways to get you off track. And so I was just saying I had to go through a whole lot of trials and tribulations, and that's why James 1 and 2 is my favorite chapter. Like I love James, and the first thing is like consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you go through trials and tribulations. And he's talking about perseverance where you don't lack nothing. And I was like, okay. So I was through that whole process, I started realizing like I need to just start talking to him more. So when I go through things, I used to like go and talk to my friends or my mom, but now I sit down and talk to him about certain things. I'm like, okay, God, like, what you want me to do here? But then afterwards, I talked to my mom and them, but I went to him first before anything, and to get to make sure like he's like my best friend. So like it's like we have a connection. So it was just to the point where I had to start doing that because I was going through things and I knew I was, I chose this life. And so I come back and I'm working hard and I'm sitting. I had an agent at the time, which was like quality control. He was a great agent and all, but I sat down, went to this park where I sit in the car and I just read my Bible and stuff and I write down in my journal. And like when I write down, like afterwards, I said, God talk to me, and I sit there and whatever I hear, it said, Drew. My agent name is Drew. He was like, Drew is going to text you. Um, my agent now, but he said Drew is going to text you and leave the other agent. He's going to text you this week and go to Drew. And I was like, okay. So I text my agent. I was like, look, nothing's wrong. I just need to, feel like I need to go to a different spot. And he texted me right away, like, no, no, don't do that. Da, da, da. And I'm like, I just gave in. I said, okay, cool. I said, all right, I'll just stay. The next day, Drew texted me and he said, oh, just checking in, DJ. Da, da, da. Just trying to see how everything is going. And I'm just like, whoa, all right, wait. I said, bro, God told me this was going to happen. And I told Drew, I'm like, I knew you was going to call me. And I sent him a picture and everything where I wrote it down. And I said, we need to talk. And if you are good with my plans, then I know you're the one. So I told him, I said, look, I want to make it to the league. And he was like, okay, cool. And he said, okay, that's a deal. We can make that happen. He was like, but if you don't get it, do you want to go overseas? And I said, no, I'm gonna get it for sure. I said, I know I'm gonna go. I said, but if it don't happen, we can do that. And he was like, all right, bet. So I texted my other agent and I told him, and he never texted back. And I had just basically like told him like sent it out, and Drew started being my agent. First week, he sent me to Arkansas, and the love there, like I never had communication and from an agent because I had two agents before Drew, and the communication was over and beyond. Like he checks on you every other week, and then the people that surround, like he has like trainers and stuff like that, people who rebound and make sure you straight. Like the love there is crazy. Like they sit there and watch my film and they just like, yeah, like at the time it was the summer league was about to come up in Vegas, and so it was they was like all leaving and I was heading home, and it was like, I see you they was like, I see you later, DJ. I said, well, it might be a while, and it was like, no, you're gonna be to Vegas. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was just like, okay, like that's all I prayed about. Like I needed that love and people that surrounded me that believe in me as well. And I went to Vegas, and I think my agent said that when we went to Vegas, I went to go watch one of the clients that plays in the league. That's one of his clients, and um, we're watching the games in the summer league, and he's like, "Okay, DJ, we finna walk around and meet any NBA coach we see." And I'm like, "Okay, bet." First person we see is the Nuggets. He talking to him. It doesn't look like they're interested when they see me. And he's like, "Hey, come to the pro day, DJ's pro day tomorrow. We're gonna have like a 5-on-5, and he can gonna run and play." And he's like, "Oh, okay, okay." And then just started talking to Drew, and then we met the Milwaukee Bucks, and so on, so on. I'm nervous. I'm like, "Oh my God, I ain't never been in this position in my life." So the next day, playing 5-on-5. And the pro day, it is packed with overseas play people, coaches. it's about like 15 NBA scouts teams there, and I'm like, okay, it's your time, it's your time. So I played great that day, and the Milwaukee Bucks and the Knicks came up to me and was like, "We love your game." Da, 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 da. So I left out Vegas with uh, Orlando Magic, the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm just praising him like I'm crying. I'm just like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. So now I was just sitting here waiting. So I'm just waiting on what to do. I don't know what's next. I'm not hearing nothing. And I'm just like, God, like, what's next, bro? Like, what's next? And he's just like, be still. Like, he sent me to Psalms 37:7. Be still and be patient with God. Don't be fret. Like, don't worry about what other people are going through. It was just saying, like, he was just telling me to be still and wait on me. And literally a couple months later, the Hawks had um, called Drew had called the Hawks and they came and watched me play, and everything had worked out as it planned, and they just called in and they was like, we're gonna reach in a couple weeks, and Orlando Magic was really actually getting me, so they had called my agent was like, we're gonna draft DJ. But they was kind of scared because they was the last pick because they had a great season that year,
Mm.
and so they was like they don't know who else is looking at him because it was like going through that time and like other teams was adding up like looking at me because I went to an Orlando Magic tryout and I played good, and I don't know how the word came out, but Memphis started calling, the Houston Rockets started calling, and I'm just like, okay, cool. And I'm just like, okay, where am I going? And then Orlando Magic called and said we're going to draft them. And agent was going to call Atlanta at the time to let them know like I already got a team. And when he called them, they was like, no, we want him. We're about to work this out right now. So I was at Orlando Magic for like 6 hours, and then it is so crazy because when I went to church that day and pastor my pastor was saying. I know sometimes it feel like it's a cycle, but this time around, God is doing a new thing. It might look like it's going to happen again, but this time you're going to have to choose. And I'm like, oh my God. So I started praying to him. I'm like, if I had to choose, God, because I was telling God, I was like, look, it's your will. You just take over everything. Like, and I was just like, God, if you want me to choose, I would like to go to the Atlanta Hawks. I said, I feel like it's a better spot for me. I'm home, and it's like my family can come watch me play. And the next day, that all happened. They called me, and my agent was like, "Well, you got to choose." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I knew this was coming." And the Atlanta Hawks, I said, "I'm gonna go to the Atlanta Hawks," and they everything happened. I signed, and I just had two practices with them so far, the G League team, and I'm just so thankful, man, because like he just switched everything around, and now like I feel like I done grown like as a person. I started a men's Bible study with some of my friends, a couple of old basketball teammates, and some people that said they wanted to get closer. That's on my social media. Um, so and God just told me like whatever I taught you, just teach them that because it's like as men we don't have family at a time, and we're leaders in this world. So people look at us as man to just for advice or anything like that. Like we have to be strong as like growing up they say don't cry, little things like that. And so I was just trying to change that motive of men and how God, like just getting them closer to being a man of God. And it really started off when I was in Montenegro. I used to start posting on my TikToks and on Instagram where I just post a verse or I read a chapter and I tell them what that chapter meant, how I felt about it, and I tell them to leave comments how they felt about it because everybody have a different perspective of what that word means or what that chapter had meant to them because they go through different things. So I was just like, and that's why I tell my men's Bible study as well. Like ask questions. I'm gonna ask questions as well when y'all read because I want to know what y'all felt about it, and I can be like, oh, okay, yeah, I never seen that because everybody has a different perspective of what they go through in life and what they see in that chapter or that passage. So I'm actually having fun with it. You know, I done changed like I done went through so much. Um, it built me into the man who I am today. Drew know, like, you know, my past life I was having fun, can't lie about it. But, you know, it grooms me to the person who I am right now. Do most of those things and it's not because I chose to, it's because when I got close to God, he literally dropped those things off me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of things that I told him that I needed to work on, and it's to the point where I see myself like I stop myself and be like, oh, I don't do this no more. It don't even come to my mind no more because he removed it. And it was just like, God, you're just so grateful to me. Like I'm just so thankful. And so yeah, that's my journey as right now. So
That's
No, I
yeah,
just wanted to add, this is so cool to hear from me, just because from where we were at Incarnate Word, both of us, DJ, I feel like
yeah,
we're both believers.
hmm
I don't think we lived it out, like lived our walk with Christ, in our everyday situation. So seeing
hmm
how you have grown, I know how I have grown. It's really cool to hear, man. So I'm proud of you.
yeah. Thank you. It
this is
was
that's awesome. Hey, if you're listen, DJ, that's Dwight. That's an incredible story. If you want proof of the real living God that we follow, like go rewind and listen to what DJ's story just what he just shared because that's real. That's not just you don't just leave a country and 6 more games left if you don't feel like that's just real. And so we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll come right back after the break with some more conversation with Dwight Murray Jr.
At least mom will be listening.
Hey friends, Ryan here, interrupting the podcast just for a second to tell you about a book that I would love, love, love if you picked up. It's the book Rooted Influence, Identifying the Root of Lasting Leadership. Now, I wrote the book, so I'm very biased, but I think it is a good book. It's a fiction story around the football world and the business world that has some real and applicable leadership principles, but also some faith perspective stuff that I think could be really helpful for you. If you like faith, sports, and leadership, you might just enjoy this book. It's a really easy read. Most people get it done in a day or two, but I would really love it if you picked up a copy. Rooted Influence. It's available on Amazon for only like $8 paperback. It's like $1 for the ebook, or you can go to ryanspencerlutz.com to learn more. The book is Rooted Influence, ROOTED, Influence, Identifying the Root of Lasting Leadership. I would love if you picked up a copy. Thanks, friends. We're going to head back to the podcast now. And we're back with Dwight Murray Jr. Again, if you did not fully listen to everything that he had shared in the previous part of this podcast, go back and listen to it. It was incredible. We're now going to be diving in and asking Dwight if he has any advice for younger athletes. So, Dwight Murray Jr., what advice would you give to a younger athlete who might be in a similar space that you were at when you were younger?
number one, get close to God. You know, if you just if you got time, you have time all the time. A lot of people say that, when I was younger, I used to say, I don't have time, but you have time. You watch TV, you get on the game, just take 5 minutes. That's all he wants. Out your day and just, read a passage or a chapter, whatever it is, and just sit there and try to understand it. And just understand that it's preparing you, whatever is going on in your time. Like if it's something that's bad, it's preparing you for the future. I didn't never realize that at the time as of playing basketball or outside of basketball, that a lot of things that I go through that's maybe trial tribulation or stuff that comes with the life, that, you know, most of the time it's preparing us or putting us in a position where we are grooming to the man that we need to be. So don't ask why this is happening, because why isn't it happening to you?
Mm.
That was the biggest thing. I always think of like Job. He had everything snatched away from him, and he never doubted God. It's to the point where, he was just asking questions at most of the point, but he never doubted him. So if Joe can do it, why we can't do it? Why we can't go through things like that? So um just stay locked in, stay on the grind. If you play any sports, whatever sports you do, or if you write or whatever you do in your lifetime, have a plan and go with it. And believe that God's gonna guide you no matter what it is. And that's one thing too, is that when I left Montenegro, I had like God basically like built in me that no matter what it is, if it's not basketball, like I left for a reason, to the point where if it's not basketball, I know he's gonna put me in a position where he wants me to be. If it's coaching or if he wants me to be, just stop hooping and do something else in life. No matter what it is, it was gonna be good and I was gonna be happy with it. So, um, a lot of things may look like it's not gonna happen, but if you got God in your life, you got to understand that everything is going to happen. And you got to, if he promised you something, he never lies. He's going to do
Mm,
it. So
that's good.
that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's great. Some of the things you said reminds me. I think it's a psalm. It says, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Some people will
Hmm.
read that as like, if I take delight in God, He's going to give me exactly what I want: the car, the money, the fame. But in reality, the way I read it, at least, is take delight in the Lord, and He will give you like what's inside your heart that you're going to go after. So for you, like right now, when you left Montenegro, like basketball was still a desire of your heart that God gave you when you took delight in Him. So you're still going to pursue that. So
Hmm.
that's cool to hear that side of things. Now we're going to enter into the leadership section, where we have a quote from John Maxwell that I'd love to hear both of your guys' thoughts on. The quote is this: "A great leader's courage to fulfill his vision comes from passion, not position." Read it one more time. "A great leader's courage to fulfill his vision comes from passion, not position." That's John Maxwell. Drew, we'll start with you. What are some initial thoughts from that passion, not position type thing?
Yeah, I like this. I think it kind of makes me think of that underdog mentality. I think both DJ and I and you, Ryan, through our sports journey have been doubted from others saying we can't make it to this level, can't do this, can't do that. But we always had that passion inside of our heart that made us just keep working no matter what our position was or what people said. So initially, that's just what I thought was just no matter where you're at, you have that passion, you're just going to go for it kind of thing.
Yeah, DJ, what are your thoughts?
Basically the same thing that Drew said. Like, if you already have it in your mind that you're going to do it, then you might as well go for it. You know, you can't listen to the outsiders. Don't trust man, believe in God. So you gotta, there's a lot of people that's gonna say you're not gonna make it. There's a lot of people that's gonna say you are gonna make it. But what do you think? You know, so it's like however you feel about it is if you say you're gonna do that, you have to go hard and push it. Like that's the passion of it. That's the love of whatever you do. So like yeah, I like that passage for sure.
Yeah, that's good. All right, a couple final questions, DJ, for you as we are getting ready to close. Dwight, what are some things, what is one thing that you were learning about leadership today?
Um uh what I learned about leadership today. Well, I had to learn a lot. Well, with basketball, I can say, just understanding how to talk to others. You got to you got to understand how to communicate with different people. Some people might not like the same tone or the same way that you talk to another person. You have to understand what they go through most of the time. And then me as being an older brother, I have an older sister, but I was the older brother in the house at the time, growing up. Just showing what is like showing them what you go through and not being afraid of to like basically not being afraid of letting them see you down, not letting like little things like that, because my brothers may see like I'm up all the time and I'm smiling, but what it, they not going to understand when the hard time comes and how I move with it.
Mm,
It's like you might see me cry, you might see me handle it a little better, but that's me. I feel like that's what I do as being a leader is letting them see my downs and my ups and my downs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's with anybody, just be yourself. Some people are just built to be a leader, some people are not, but you can become one in your own way for other people, whoever is watching you. So nobody said that you can't be a leader, but that's my say so on that one.
Yeah. So kind of like authenticity as a leader is important.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. And last question, who are some leaders that have shaped you and shaped the leadership that you have?
Dad, probably for sure. My mom and my uncle. Those three definitely brought me. My dad, just seeing him waking up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to work, going hard for us, putting food on the table for us, little things like that, just showing us how to be a man in this world. What else? My mom just bringing me to Christ, getting to understand who God is, and just seeing how she handled things. Like I just seen my mom cry, like I was saying. I seen her cry, and I seen her be happy. I seen her be down. So it's like I know if she can do it, I can do it. Just building me to the person who I am today. And then my uncle, he's the one who really got me started with the building a plan. What do I think I'm gonna have in 5 years? Waking up in the morning and talking to God before I do anything. Just building that. He loved Kobe, so he was giving me that Kobe mentality, kind of just being a dog, and don't worry about what other people say. Just if you have a plan, then do it. So those are basically the top three for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate your time and coming on today and just sharing your story. I know it's going to impact some people just listening to how you've trusted God throughout this whole thing and how you've grown. So just, want to thank you, man, and super proud of you and excited for what's to come with your journey.
Thank you. I'm so excited that y'all brought me on here today, for sure. Happy to see you again, Drew and Ryan. Good to talk to y'all and have a good conversation.
Absolutely, man. It's been an honor. It's going to be fun to watch you play this year. If you get the chance, be sure to follow Dwight Murray Jr. and his journey. As you've seen it already coming to fruition. He's a fun player to watch, but his journey is going to be even more incredible. So on behalf of Dwight, Drew, and myself, thank you so much for hopping into the Faith Sports Leadership Podcast. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Go be a light. And that's the show.
At least Mom will be listening.
So if you bring up Counter Stallions, we're just not going to listen to you.